In the ancient times of the Bible, during the period of the Judges, the Israelites faced many enemies. One of their most terrifying enemies was the Philistines, a fierce people who lived along the coastal areas of Israel. Among these Philistines, there was one warrior who became a symbol of terror, Goliath of Gath. His name spread far and wide, and his towering presence and immense strength were the stuff of legends. Goliath was no ordinary man. He was a giant, standing over 9 feet tall. He was far taller than any of the Israelites or even most men in the ancient world. He wore armor made of bronze that weighed more than 100 pounds, and he carried a spear whose iron point alone weighed 15 pounds. His presence on the battlefield was enough to strike fear into the hearts of any soldier who saw him. 1 Samuel 17 verses 4-7. Each day, Goliath would come out of the Philistine camp and challenge the Israelites to send out a champion to fight him. For 40 days, he taunted the armies of Israel, mocking them for their cowardice and questioning the power of their God. Goliath's challenge was simple. Choose a man and have him come down to me. If he is able to fight and kill me, we will become your subjects. But if I overcome him and kill him, you will become our subjects and serve us. This was not a typical battle of armies. Instead, it was a duel of champions, and the outcome would determine the fate of the entire nation. The Israelites, including King Saul, were paralyzed by fear. No one was brave enough to face the giant. Goliath's threats echoed in their hearts, and day after day, they shrank back in fear. But in the midst of this despair, there was one young man who refused to be intimidated. His name is David. David was a young shepherd from Bethlehem, the youngest of 8 brothers. While his brothers were soldiers in King Saul's army, David spent his days in the fields, tending to his father's sheep. David was strong, courageous, and faithful to God. He had already proven his bravery by defending his flock against lions and bears, and his faith in God was unwavering. One day, David's father, Jesse, asked him to take food and supplies to his brothers on the battlefield. When David arrived at the camp, he was shocked to find that the entire Israelite army was trembling in fear at the sight of Goliath. The giant was taunting them again, and no one dared to take him on. David, filled with righteous anger, asked, "Who is this uncircumcised Philistine that he should defy the armies of the living God?" His words stirred the soldiers, but none of them were willing to face Goliath. David's older brother Eliab, hearing David's words, rebuked him, accusing him of being conceited. But David was not dissuaded. His faith was stronger than any insult. David's words reached King Saul, and the king summoned him to the palace. Saul looked at David, a young boy with no battle experience, and said, "You are not able to go out against this Philistine and fight him. You are only a boy, and he has been a warrior from his youth." But David was undeterred. He told Saul how he had protected his father's sheep from lions and bears, and that he believed the same God who had helped him defeat these predators would help him defeat Goliath. Moved by David's courage, Saul finally agreed to let him face the giant, but he offered David his own armor to wear. David tried on the armor, but it was too heavy and cumbersome. "I cannot go in these," David said. Instead, he chose to face Goliath with only his sling and 5 smooth stones that he picked from a stream. As David approached the battlefield, Goliath saw him and was enraged. He had expected a warrior, not a boy, to come and face him. "Am I a dog that you come at me with sticks?" Goliath mocked. "Come to me, and I will give your flesh to the birds of the air and the beasts of the field." David, unafraid and filled with faith, responded boldly, "You come against me with sword and spear, but I come against you in the name of the Lord Almighty, the God of the armies of Israel, whom you have defied. This day the Lord will deliver you into my hands, and I will strike you down and cut off your head." With that, David took a stone from his sling and hurled it at Goliath. The stone struck Goliath in the forehead, sinking deep into his skull. The giant fell face to the ground and died. David ran to him, took Goliath's sword, and cut off his head. The Philistines, seeing their champion defeated, turned and fled in fear. The Israelites, filled with newfound courage, pursued them, and won a great victory. David's victory over Goliath was not just a military triumph. It was a powerful reminder of the importance of faith in God. David, a young shepherd with no battle experience, had defeated the mightiest warrior of his time, not through strength, but through faith in the power of God. While Goliath's defeat was a great victory for Israel, it was not the only battle involving giants. Another giant, much older and even more dangerous than Goliath, also threatened the Israelites. This giant was King Og of Bashan, one of the last of the Rephaim giants, a race of colossal men who once roamed the earth. Og ruled over the kingdom of Bashan, which was located in the region east of the Jordan River. King Og's size was legendary. The Bible says that his bed was made of iron and measured about 13 feet long and 6 feet wide. Deuteronomy 3 verse 11. This was a testament to his immense size. Og was not just a giant in stature. He was a powerful and terrifying king who ruled over a vast kingdom. His army was large and formidable, and he believed that no one could defeat him. When the Israelites, under the leadership of Moses, were making their way to the Promised Land, they encountered Og's kingdom. Og, knowing that the Israelites were advancing, gathered his army and prepared to fight. But God spoke to Moses, reassuring him that Og would be delivered into the hands of the Israelites. "Do not be afraid of him," God told Moses, "for I have delivered him into your hand, along with all his people in his land." Moses and the Israelites went to battle against Og and his army, and despite Og's massive size and strength, the Israelites were victorious. God gave them the strength to defeat the giant, and Og was killed in battle. The Israelites took control of Og's kingdom, and his land was divided among the tribes of Reuben, Gad, and Manasseh, Numbers 21:33-35. Conclusion: the stories of Goliath and Og are not just ancient tales. They are living reminders of the power of faith, courage, and trust in God. What giants are you facing today? Is it fear, doubt, failure, or something so overwhelming that you feel paralyzed? Remember, just like David and the Israelites, you are not alone. You do not need to rely on your own strength. With God on your side, you have everything you need to overcome even the biggest giants in your life. Stand firm. Face your challenges with faith. Just as David said, "The battle is the Lord's." Take that step forward. Trust in God's promises. Whether it's a small stone or a great army, what matters most is that God is with you. Today is your day to slay your giants. Do not let fear hold you back. Do not let doubt win. You are stronger than you think because the God who delivered David and the Israelites is the same God who is fighting for you. Stand up, pick up your stone, and face your giant. Victory is already yours because God never fails. If you are ready to take action and trust God to overcome the giants in your life, share this message with others. Inspire someone today and walk forward in faith.